So you will find, on a lot of social media sites and across many academic sites, you'll see not sites like as in website, but sites as in like land sites. You can find that there's a lot of stifling of conversation and anti-free speech sentiments without being violations of the law, more specifically in the U.S. The First Amendment. People often say that businesses are entitled to censor things, and that's just it. And they are. That's not incorrect. They are entitled to it. But I think that there needs to be more conversation on the basis of, well, should they? Because you shouldn't be morally grandstanding, on stuff like this, like being like, well, I didn't censor, so I'm better than you. But it should be something that the consumer should care about. On Twitter, they just they've been just banning alt-right accounts and stuff, Nazi accounts and such, and it's like no one's going to defend them because they're all right, and that I can understand that because I don't really agree with the alt-right ideas, and I don't agree with alt-right even just like the philosophy behind it. Like I just don't agree. I think that they're flawed in their rationale. They have they're more often driven by the ideals of genetics and eugenics, which I suppose eugenics on like if it was socially motivated, like not race, but like just being like we want a better genome. I can get it because we're kind of like apex predators, and so it's a little harder for us to evolve because we're not really getting we're not getting picked off. But either way, you have all these fringe beliefs, and they're getting they're getting banned on Twitter, and they're being black holed on YouTube, and it's concerning. I wouldn't say that is a proper way of stifling these ideas, because when you ban discourse on an idea, it doesn't get weaker, it gets stronger. You can't see it anymore. When you block people on Twitter, they're not gone, you just can't see them. And that's kind of how it works when you delete Twitter accounts that are alt-right. They just go somewhere else. Even when you remove like Stormfront, like they'll go deeper into the internet, whether it's 8chan or another website. Poll maybe, but Poll is a little different than the alt-right. So what I'm trying to get to is that I think that it needs to be a larger debate on whether it's like on principle. You need to debate on principle, not in legality. Because I don't think that there should be censorship. I think that you need to have the battle of ideas. You can't just have silencing ideas and pretending like they're gone, because they're not, and that won't solve the problem. They'll still be alt-right people, and they'll still be okay. But if you were to bring it out on YouTube channels and have them debate and eventually come to a conclusion, or be stubborn but widely touted as wrong. I mean, if you take feminists and you take the evangelicals on YouTube, and in each time that it hit critical mass, you got blowback. You got the atheist community, Steve Shives and shit, bless his soul. And then you got feminism and stuff, and you had like Random Cam and stuff, Teal Deer, Sargon, and now we need. And although feminism is still alive and well, it has lost the battle of ideas. It is losing support. From the very beginning, people who had careers and things, where they're public officials, more often than not, they wouldn't say that they're feminists. You had plenty of cases where, you know, you had the feminist YouTubers being like, Katy Perry didn't say she was a feminist, and that's wrong, because she said that she supported equal rights, and that's what feminism is, and Katy Perry knew it wasn't, and we knew it wasn't, and, but they didn't get it. And so, and so you got to have the battle of ideas. You got to, see, their ideology get, debated. They got response videos, and you got to see how they thought and why they were wrong, and that was great when discussing all of those topics. And with alt-right views, I think that we need to do that again, because I don't agree with them, and I don't think that most people agree with them. So I think it's not. So often people will just throw away, well, they have the right to. But I think that they should be, defended. I think you need to say, all right, YouTube, you can't do that. That's not cool, because that's not how you win. Just making them go somewhere else isn't solving the problem. It's only, hiding the problem. It's just masking it. And so I would say either we need to have a consumer revolt where we say, you either leave Twitter or Twitter changes. You go to Minds or something, and likewise you go to BitChute or something for YouTube, and for Twitter you go to Gab maybe, because alt tech is a solution, because they're trying to cater to this group who, they have a base, and their base is people who are pissed about censorship, and I think that more people need to be pissed about censorship. And plenty of people are. You can see with the Kilroy event, not necessarily in planning, but in funding. It is clearly, there are a lot of people who care about free speech. Because we just can't censor ideas. It's not the effect. It's not an effective manner of stifling them. It's not an effective manner of making it so that they're, beaten. It's only hiding them. And so how do we do that? Well, I think that people don't understand. So often you hear the little like, I guess it was a poem in whatever communist state. I'm not familiar with which. They say, well, first they went for the artist. And so on and so forth. And so it's like, first they went for the alt-right, Alright, the guy who wrote it was Martin I don't know. Nimlor? But, I think it's, a German Lutheran pastor in, and he's talking about the Nazis, but alright, Nazis were totalitarian, and likewise communists are. So I think that it's a very interesting. First they went for the socialists, but I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And as I read it, even then, I still get chills because it's very beautiful and very simple. It's probably under 100 words, and it's very succinct in explaining this, like, what apathy will lead you to. If you're apathetic about what is going on around you, and you don't think about, you know, to stop them from, you know, perhaps going after the socialists first, is what, well, they went over after the socialists first, even though they were fairly socialistic. It is selfish to want to stop that, because it will affect you. You know, first they went for the alt-right, but you know, very quickly they can go for anything else. So long as it doesn't toe YouTube's ideological line, you know, they'll seek after it and try to black hole it, and that's not really what you want. You want, when you have a social media platform which is an alternative to, you know, television, where it's not so much, well, where television was trying to brainwash you, YouTube is a collective of, you know, individual content creators and you know, groups, but who are just trying to talk about what they care about, and not so much try to tell you, you know, this is what you need to believe, this is what you need to believe, bash it into your skull and leave you for dead. You know, you watch anything on any of the major news networks, you watch, you know, MSNBC or anything like that, you can quickly see where their ideology stands and, you know, how they look at every problem, even though they have different pundits, and then they omit things, and so some people will only watch it, and, you know, some people will only watch one channel, but more often than not, you have a whole bunch of different views. You know, I don't only watch Sargon, you know, I go all around. Sometimes I even watch Millennial Woes, except I'm left wishing I hadn't and wanting to die, but, you know, we're here, we're there, I'm doing it, I'm looking at dissenting opinions, and it's okay. But I think it's important to look at, you know, things like this, and you need to think about, you know, the consequences. Because sure, Team 10 will stay here, and it will be here, and it will, you know, run its course, and it will be gone, but never because of censorship. Because it toes the it has no ideological viewpoints. Political speech is very special in that if people disagree with it, they don't want it around them. And although, you know, I might disagree with someone, I would never say that they need to be, you know, shut down, I would never advocate for flagging to remove a video, even if it was wrong. Because you can look at that and be like, well, here is where you went wrong, and here's... Because all of it, you know, all flagging ever does is remove dissenting opinion, which is honestly a good thing. If an ideology is strong and it can disprove dissenting opinion, it wins. If an ideology is weak and cannot, then it loses. And thus the court of public opinion is out. They're judge, jury, and executioner, and an ideology dies because it wasn't fit to hold up against people berating it with, you know, criticism. If it can be criticized to death, then it clearly wasn't very good, now was it? And those concepts are very important to think about when you start bringing up the right to censor. Sure, they have the right, but should they? There are plenty of things I could do. I could go out onto the street and just start killing people left and right, but I would never say that it would be the right thing to do. And I'm not suggesting that it's, you know, akin to murdering people, because it's not. But it is, you know, a moral wrong, but something that they're totally capable of. And so we shouldn't be judging it on the basis of, well, they did it because they could. We should be asking whether they should or not. And I think that very succinctly nails this down. Look, I did it. I made a 15-minute video. It wasn't too bad. I think I hit all the points I really cared to talk about. And hopefully I can start coming back at you with more fire content. See what I did there? Mad puns, because I'm the Pyro Porcupine.